Clan Donald is a Highland Scottish clan and one of the largest Scottish clans. The chiefs of the Clan Donald held the title of Lord of the Isles until 1495 and two of the chiefs also held the title of Earl of Ross until 1476. There are also numerous branches to the Clan Donald and several of these have chiefs recognised by the Lord Lyon King of Arms. These are, Clan MacDonald of Sleat, Clan MacDonald of Clanranald, Clan MacDonnell of Glengarry, Clan MacDonald of Keppoch, and Clan MacAlister. Notable branches without chiefs so recognised are, the Clan MacDonald of Dunnyveg, Clan MacDonald of Lochalsh, the MacDonnells of Glencoe, and the MacDonalds of Ardnamurchan. The MacDonnells of Antrim are a cadet branch of the MacDonalds of Dunnyveg but do not belong to the Scottish associations and have a chief officially recognised in Ireland. History, origins. The Norse Gaelic Clan Donald traces its descent from Dar squared Mhnall MacRanil, whose father Reginald or Rainald was styled King of the Isles, and Lord of Argyll and Kintyre. Rainald's father, Sameld, was styled King of the Hebrides, and was killed campaigning against Malcolm IV of Scotland at the Battle of Renfrew in 1164. Clan Donald shares a descent from Sameld with Clan MacDougall, who traced their lineage from his elder son, Dougal mac Somhail. Their dynasties are together commonly referred to as the Clan Somhail. Furthermore, they are descended maternally from both the House of Godred Cravan and the Earls of Orkney, through Samuel's wife Ragnhildisa Lafsda Tttir, daughter of Olaf I Godredsson, King of Man and the Isles, and Ingeborg Håkonstadter, daughter of Håkon Pálsson, Earl of Orkney. It remains uncertain if the Clan Somhail are also descendants in some manner, through one or another of the above dynasts, of the House of Ivor, but this is commonly argued. Gaelic tradition gave Sameld a Celtic descent in the male line, as the medieval Senecas traced his lineage through a long line of ancestors back to the High Kings of Ireland, namely Colloway and Con of the Hundred Battles. Thus Clan Donald claimed to be both Clan Chola and Siltwin. Possibly the oldest piece of poetry attributed to the MacDonalds is a Brosnachard which was said to have been written in 1411, on the day of the Battle of Hylor. The first lines of the poem begin a clan is cuinn cumnashib/kras and am now Yorfhail. A later poem made to John of Islay, last of the MacDonald Lords of the Isles, proclaims Shianas a deal duch lane chola, ca squared or fha squared grad, giving MacDonald's genealogy back to Colloway. However, a recent DNA study has shown that Sameld may have been of Norse descent in his male line. By testing the Y-DNA of males bearing the surnames MacDonald, MacDougall, MacAlister, and their variants, it was found that a substantial proportion of men tested shared the same Y-DNA and a direct paternal ancestor. This distinct Y chromosome R1A1 haplotype found in Scotland has been regarded as often showing Norse descent in the British Isles. According to the Clan Donald USA DNA project, about 22% of tested participants have this signature, most importantly including the chiefs, but despite the sensational claims it remains unclear whether Sameld himself was of paternal Norse ancestry. A non-paternity event remains a possible cause. Scottish-Norwegian War. In 1263 Alexander III of Scotland defeated Håkon IV of Norway at the Battle of Largs. The Clan Donald chief, Eanismore, and his clan had technically been vassals of Håkon, and so the King of Scots became their new overlord, as confirmed in the Treaty of Perth. Wars of Scottish independence. Angus More's son was Angus Og of Islay, who supported Robert the Bruce at the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314. In recognition of Clan Donald's support, King Robert the Bruce proclaimed that Clan Donald would always occupy the honoured position on the right wing of the Scottish army. 15th century. In the Earldom of Ross, the title and territory of the Earl of Ross had originally been held by the chief of Clan Ross. However, Angus Og's grandson, Dar squared Mhnall of Islay, Lord of the Isles, married the first female heiress of the Earl of Ross. He later successfully claimed the position of Earl of Ross through marriage. This was secured by the Battle of Hylor on July 24, 1411, where most of the Highland clans supported Donald in preventing Robert Stewart, Duke of Albany, and his army of Scottish Lowlanders from claiming the position for himself. Prior to the Battle of Hylor in 1411, the Battle of Dingwall took place, where the Clan Donald defeated the powerful Clan Mackay, who were supporters of the Stuart Confederacy. By 1415 the earldom of Ross was lost as Murdoch Stewart, Duke of Albany, had seized Dingwall Castle and Easter Ross. Dasquared Machnall prepared for war and proclaimed himself Lord of Ross. Although Albany appointed his own son John Stewart, 2nd Earl of Buchan, as the new Earl of Ross. However, later the MacDonald chiefs would become the Earls of Ross, firstly Alexander of Islay, Earl of Ross, and then his son John of Islay, Earl of Ross, who surrendered the earldom in 1476 to James Stewart, Duke of Ross. In 1429 the Battle of Lochaber took place, where forces led by Alexander MacDonald of Islay, Earl of Ross, 3rd Lord of the Isles, and fought against the royalist army of James I of Scotland. 2 years later the Battle of Inverloch took place. While Chief Alexander MacDonald of Islay, Earl of Ross, was imprisoned by King James I, the Clan MacDonald were led by his nephew, Donald Balloch, who defeated the Earl of Mar's army. The Battle of Bloody Bay took place in 1480. It was fought between John MacDonald of Islay, Earl of Ross, Lord of the Isles and Chief of Clan Donald, against his son Angus Og MacDonald. John MacDonald of Islay was supported by men from the Clan MacLean, Clan MacLeod, and Clan MacNeil. While his son, Angus Og MacDonald, was supported Alan MacAlister, chief of the Clan MacDonald of Clanranald, and Dasquared Machnall MacAlister, chief of the Clan MacDonald of Keppoch. The Battle of Skibo in Strathfleet took place in 1480. John MacDonald of Islay, Earl of Ross, invaded Sutherland and fought against men of the Clan Sutherland, 16th century, and the rebellion of Donald Dub. The title of Earl of Ross had been surrendered by the Clan Donald chief in 1476, and the title of Lord of the Isles, which the MacDonald chief had held since the 13th century, was revoked in 1495. At the end of the 15th century and beginning of the 16th century the chief of Clan Donald, Donald Dub, rebelled against James IV of Scotland and made an alliance with Edward VI of England in an attempt to regain the lordship of the Isles. Various attempts were made to restore the lordship of the Isles, but by 1545 all had failed. The various branches of the Clan Donald began accepting charters from the Crown in recognition of their separate holdings. This was part of a royal policy that successfully kept the Clan Donald divided, and in doing so they were less of a threat to the central authority. The Battle of the Spoiling Dyke took place in 1578, where the MacDonalds of Uist fought against the Clan MacLeod, 17th century and Civil War, in 1642 on Rathlin Island. During the Irish Rebellion, Covenanter soldiers of the Clan Campbell who formed Argyll's Foot were encouraged by their commanding officer Sir Duncan Campbell of Auchinbreck to kill the local Catholic MacDonalds. This they did with ruthless efficiency, throwing scores of MacDonald women over cliffs to their deaths on rocks below. The number of victims of this massacre has been put as low as 100 and as high as 3,000. Scotland in the Wars of the Three Kingdoms of 1644-47, was in large part a clan war between the MacDonalds and Clan Campbell. The MacDonalds sided with the Royalists in the English Civil War and the Irish Confederate Catholics in the Wars of the Three Kingdoms. The Campbells sided with the Scottish Covenanters. A MacDonald clansman, Alistair MacCollar, raised an Irish force in 1644 and landed in Scotland, with the aim of linking up with the Scottish Royalists and taking back the lands that Clan Donald had lost to the Campbells. After a year of campaigning around Scotland, in which MacCollar's men ravaged the Campbell lands, the two sides met at the Battle of Inverloch. Through cunning tactics the Royalist force of James Graham, 1st Marquess of Montrose, which included the MacDonalds under Alistair MacCollar, defeated the Scottish Covenanter forces led by Archibald Campbell, 1st Marquess of Argyll. The Massacre of Glencoe took place in 1692. 38 unarmed MacDonalds from the Clan MacDonald of Glencoe were murdered in the Massacre of Glencoe when an initiative to suppress Jacobitism was entangled in the long-running feud between Clan MacDonald and Clan Campbell. The slaughter of the host MacDonalds at the hands of their Campbell guests was a major affront to Scottish law and Highland tradition. 18th century and Jacobite Risings. During the Jacobite Rising of 1715 the MacDonalds supported the Jacobite cause of the House of Stuart. Made up amongst others, men of Clan MacDonald of Keppoch and the Clan MacDonald of Clanranald, whose chief was killed at the Battle of Sheriffmuir. During the Jacobite Rising of 1745 the majority of Clan Donald fought on the side of the Jacobites with 3 regiments from Clan MacDonald of Clanranald, Clan MacDonnell of Glengarry, Clan MacDonald of Keppoch and the Clan MacDonald of Glencoe fighting at the Battle of Prestonpans, Battle of Falkirk and the Battle of Culloden. A number of MacDonalds were killed at Culloden, although many of them left the field after seeing the slaughter of other clans who had charged the government lines before them. The Clan MacDonald of Sleat branch had fought for the Jacobites in the 1715 rebellion, however they actually formed 2 battalions in support of the British government during the 1745 rebellion, and as a result the Sleat possessions remained intact. Chiefship. In 1947, the Lord Lyon King of Arms granted the undifferenced arms of MacDonald to Alexander Godfrey MacDonald, 7th Lord MacDonald, making him the first High Chief of Clan Donald. After his death in 1970, he was succeeded by his son Godfrey James MacDonald of MacDonald, 8th Lord MacDonald, who is the current High Chief of Clan Donald. In 1972, the MacDonald estates were sold off to pay death duties. Lord MacDonald lives at Kinloch Lodge on Skye with his wife, the food writer Claire MacDonald. The following is a list of some of the early chiefs of Clan Donald. Castles. Over the centuries MacDonald castles have included Clan Donald castles. Finlagan Castle was located on an island, on Loch Finlagan, on the Isle of Islay. It was the seat of the chief of Clan Donald, Lord of the Isles. Armadale Castle on the Isle of Skye was begun in 1815 and today houses a MacDonald clan centre which is open to the public. Knock Castle is a ruined MacDonald castle located on the Isle of Skye. Duntulm Castle is a ruined MacDonald castle located on the Isle of Skye. Orrose Castle is a ruined MacDonald castle located on the Isle of Mull. Clague Castle is a ruined MacDonald castle located on the Isle of Jura. Kildonan Castle is a ruined MacDonald castle located on the Isle of Arran. Artonish Castle is a ruined MacDonald castle located on the peninsula Malvern. Dunnyveg Castle is a ruined MacDonald castle, off the coast of Kintyre, known as Blood Rock because of the incident known as the Dunnyveg Massacre. Clan Donald branch castles, Castle Sheerham, Lochmore Idart, Watchhaber was the seat of the Clan MacDonald of Clanranald. Borve Castle, Benbecula was another castle of the MacDonalds of Clanranald. Ormaclade Castle was another castle of the MacDonalds of Clanranald. Invergarry Castle, built on the Rock of the Raven was the seat of the Clan MacDonnell of Glengarry. Strome Castle on the shore of Loch Arran was an earlier castle of the MacDonalds of Glengarry. Dunluce Castle in Ireland was the seat of the Clan MacDonnell of Antrim, Earls of Antrim. Glenam Castle in Ireland was another castle of the MacDonalds of Antrim. Dunnyveg Castle on the Isle of Islay was the seat of the Clan MacDonald of Dunnyveg. Dunsafe Castle on the Isle of Skye was the seat of the Clan MacDonald of Sleat. Keppoch Castle, which was near to Spion Bridge and Watchhaber, was the seat of the Clan MacDonald of Keppoch until it passed to the Macintoshes in 1690. Mingarry Castle in Kilcoen, Watchhaber was the seat of the Clan MacDonald of Ardnamurchan. Largy Castle, Arran was the seat of the Clan MacDonald of Largy. See also, Lord of the Isles, Gaelic nobility of Ireland, Keppoch murders, MacDonald, Clan Donald, Alberta, Canada, Books of Clanranald, Notes. References. External links, High Council of Clan Donald the official website of the clan, Clan Donald Skye the official Clan Donald Museum, Clan Donald USA, Clan Donald USA DNA project, Clan Donald Canada, Clan Donald Heritage, Clan Donald the Highland Connection, Donald Tartans.